Data centers, Buc-ee's, and the future of growth in Stafford County. Big decisions are on the ballot this November. Hello, everyone. I'm Uriah Kiser, founder and publisher of Potomac Local News. Thanks for joining us on this Potomac Local News Podcast. Today, we're joined by Bart Randall. He's a 25-year Navy veteran and longtime Stafford resident who's running for Garrisonville District Supervisor. In this interview, you're going to find out why he's holding town halls before the election, his stance on the flood of data center proposals and data center construction that we've seen in Stafford County, and how the county should manage those data centers, why he opposes the planned Buc-ee's location next to Embrey Mill, the stalled Garrison project and how the county should handle that and be accountable for that. Anyone who's been around Stafford for a while has been asking, where's my movie theater? We'll get into that. And finally, balancing taxes, schools, and growth while attracting new business to Stafford County. A lot to talk about. That interview coming up right after this.
This podcast is powered by PotomacLocal.com, your trusted source for local news in Fredericksburg, Manassas, Woodbridge, and the communities in between. Every day, we bring you the stories that matter most. From schools and government to business, transportation, and the people shaping our neighborhoods. Our mission is simple: keep you informed, connected, and engaged with what's happening right here at home. We can only do this with your support. Become a Potomac Local News member today and help sustain independent, community-focused journalism. Visit PotomacLocal.com to join and be part of the movement for local news that truly serves the community. That's PotomacLocal.com.
Okay. All right, Bart. So you are running for the Garrisonville District Supervisor seat. We appreciate you coming on and talking to us, and we'll let you talk a little bit about you and your background. But first, I want to talk about some of the issues. You did a town hall at the Porter Library this past Monday night, and I got to tell you, that is a unique form of campaigning. Very rarely have I seen candidates call the community to a town hall at a public meeting. Normally those are things that that's what they do after they've got into office, and most times people who get into office don't even do that. So it's definitely an original campaign style. I was there. I heard some talk about data centers and other community concerns. Talk to me about the town hall that you held.
Well, thank you very much. First of all, Uriah, thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk to my constituents and talk to the people in Stafford. You know, one of the main focuses of my campaign, and will be as when I get elected, will be to engage in a more unique way, a more different way with constituents in all forms. And one of the things that we think is a good way of doing that is through a town hall. And they are not being done now in the Garrisonville district. It was interesting where we were talking about data centers and they were like, well, why is it we don't know about this stuff? And I'm like, well, because it happens on the dais, and I guess the board just expects that everybody is going to go do their homework and go to the recordings and go to the minutes and read up on all this stuff and learn all this stuff, rather than novel idea, the supervisors hearing what's going on in the dais, knowing what's going on in the county, going back to their constituents and saying, hey, I want you to know that this is what's going on. I know you have a life to live, but let me give you a 10-minute presentation on what we're talking about.
Yeah. And what we're talking about is data centers. There are 17 applications before the board. They're going to have to decide one way or another. And that's on top of these data center complexes that they're seeing already under construction in the county. One of those being at Eskimo Hill Road, the Stafford Technology Campus, which if you've not been to the dump lately, take a drive down to the dump and see take a drive and you'll see how the land has changed and clear cut for these data centers. So what's your reaction to this? I mean, if you're elected, will you continue to press for these data centers? Because some say that we need the money, we need the tax revenue. Others say, wait a minute, these new data centers are driving up electric rates. They're going to make electricity more expensive, and they're going to use a lot of water.
So Thank you. That's a great question. We will not, when I'm elected, the 4 that are done by right, as you can see what has happened. They clear cut 750 acres over by Eskimo Hill, clear cut, all gone. That will and cannot happen ever again in Stafford. We have to put performance standards in place that they're working on, that the data centers can, some will be here, some we don't want, but they'll do it for us. They'll do it under our conditions, not their conditions. You want to come to us? Is the money, do we need it? Yes, we need that additional form of revenue. It will be great to span the gap of where we are to getting our own business tax base, which again is one of my major focuses in my campaign and will be on the board. But they have to do it at what we want, right? We have to put a plan in place. There is no plan right now. If you ask them how many data centers do we want, they can't tell you. How many, what's the square foot maximum that we want in Stafford? They can't tell you.
So we have 17 in the works.
Yep.
Do we need more? I mean, should we be going for more, or should we be restricting where they go?
Yeah, this is the problem, right? Is that we have to determine where we want them. We have to say this is how it's going to work for Stafford. We have to put them out of the site. We have to make sure there's a proper setback from residents. We have to make sure there's a proper natural buffer. I would do 1,000 feet minimum. I would do a 300-foot natural buffer. I would make sure that their influence into our water is very minimal. We would make sure. Now, the power, you're going to have to go to Dominion. We're going to have to work through Dominion for the power, because Dominion says, I got to power everybody. There's got to be some way. We need to be able to mitigate that. That's all going to be part of these rezonings. We have the upper hand in this. We have got to take and keep that upper hand and make sure that the data centers are coming to us asking based on our requirements, not us going to them and falling at their feet saying, please come, and we don't really care the consequences.
And for those who don't know, these data centers are multiple football fields wide. They are giant warehouses, some 75 to 100 feet plus tall. And they have become the norm in Northern Virginia, starting in Loudoun County and now working their way south through Prince William, Stafford, down to Lake Anna. They're becoming, and so they take up a lot of land. And so, but again, the value here, they say, is the tax revenue that comes in. The downfall is the amount of land that they take up. They're being built next to neighborhoods where they can easily tap the existing power grid without having to build a lot of infrastructure on their own to tap the power grid. So so that was my recap for those who may have not been paying attention. Yeah. As you said earlier on, as people come to these meetings and say, what is going on here? Another big development that we've talked about for months now, for a better part of 2 years, in your district, in the Garrisonville district, is the Buc-ee's. Now, this would be the first in our Northern Virginia region. We have one that opened in Harrisonburg, Virginia. We have another one opening on I-64 on the way down to Hampton Roads. But this would be the one in our area, should it come to pass. This has been described to me as a sort of a Walmart meets a gas station. Got 100 gas pumps, a lot of novelty items being sold inside, and I hear the brisket is pretty good. But you have people who say, listen, this is too big for my neighborhood. I don't know if I want a 100-pump gas station in the background behind my house in Embrey Mill. And then you have the other people saying, hey, no, we need jobs, right? We need economic diversity. We need this company to come in and give us something different. So did you hear about Buc-ee's at the town hall? What are people saying? And what do you think?
Yes, that was one of the things that we talked about at the town hall was Buc-ee's and the data centers. We had a great presentation about Buc-ee's. Here's my bottom line with Buc-ee's. I have some grave concerns about Buc-ee's being in that location. Okay, as I told them on Monday night, Buc-ee's 43 Buc-ee's in the country, and none of them are as close to residential as this one would be to our residents. None of them. And we would be setting a precedent for the country to having a Buc-ee's, that size of Buc-ee's, near residents. It is not a residential friendly business. It will not be friendly to all of the other local businesses around it. You want to put it out in the middle of nowhere where people go to it, they can drive back to the highway, it doesn't impact anybody, have a ball. But in that location, that size, it will have a major impact on the businesses.
Because you already have the Embrey Mill Town Center, and this is the interesting caveat about this, because the town center has the Publix, it has a Wawa, it has several restaurants, and this town center has really taken off.
Yes.
At the same time, the county that owns land next to its government center, just about a half mile away, and had planned a town center business development, and always talked about it for years. But here we have this Embrey Mill Town Center, which is actually doing very well, and it's not that far. Now, it is on the other side of Interstate 95, but
sure,
still, that is, it's doing well. So what you're saying is, if you build this here, it would be detrimental to the growth and the prosperity at Embrey Mill Town Center. But you're also saying is that this is I assume you're saying this is a congested area right off 95, where and it abuts to the Embrey Mill neighborhood. So you have a lot of townhomes, single family homes, what have you, plus an existing commercial area.
Absolutely. And if you look at the other Buc-ee's, they are not built in that kind of a situation. They are built where they are the main flagship and everybody comes to them. You want to go to a Buc-ee's? Go build it by the Buc-ee's. You're good. In this case, we will be forcing that on all of the other businesses around, and what the impact is. Nobody can tell us the impact on Wawa and the impact on the Sheets and the impact on the other businesses. We don't know, and I'm not willing to put them in that jeopardy. To have a business like that, although I go to Buc-ee, we go down when we go to Florida. I go, it's great because of where the location is. This is just so bad at the size that they want to bring, and just kind of forcing it on us in a way that I don't think is appropriate.
Well, from the Embrey Mill Town Center, where we have seen a successful development, to an area where we have been talking about development for years. And this is the Garrison in North Stafford, right off of 610 Garrisonville Road. I've been writing about this, I feel like, since I've started in journalism, because we saw the demise of the Aquia Town Center years ago. 2007, 2008 timeframe is when they were tearing that down. Eventually, they tore down the 10 movie theater that was there, and that was Stafford's movie house. And we were told that, hey, don't worry, we're going to tear this down, but we're going to build a spanking new movie theater at the Garrison right off 610. And that was, again, 2010, 2011 timeframe we were talking about this. It is 2025. We saw the groundbreaking for the Garrison back in we're going on nearly 10 years that we saw a groundbreaking for this project, and that was it. Nothing has happened there. So and it's fair to say the current supervisor, Pam Young, who you were running against, she inherited this issue. This came long before she ever got into office, but yet people are asking, hey, where is this development? Where's the Starbucks, the movie theater, the upscale restaurants we were promised? And where is that signal light at the intersection of Travis Lane and 610, where this would go? Because shopping center or not, I think there are a lot of people who would argue we need a traffic light right there. I mean, we have 6 lanes of traffic and people trying to dart out and cross. It makes for a difficult situation. So if you're elected, you get to inherit this problem too. What needs to be done?
Well, a couple of things, in my opinion, right? I don't know what conversations are going on. I don't know where they currently are. I'm not in a position as a private citizen to get too much engaged with that. But I will tell you this: information is power. And what I think we are missing here is an information to our constituents that says every quarter, every 6 months, I would do it every quarter. This is what we're talking about. I'm engaging them with this. This is their response. This is what we're talking about. I'm engaging them with this. This is their response. And provide to our constituents some information, but also make sure that those who are in charge of that area understand that I'm going to be their first call when the next shoe drops. Right now, I feel like because we don't hear anything, that it's sitting there, it's open land, and it's on the back burner of our supervisor, and it's on the back burner of the developer. And that will not happen when I'm elected. We will put it right back on the front. I will force them to put it at the front of their priority list, right? Take action. Tell me why you're not taking action. Don't tell me that you can't do it. Tell me when you will do it, because that's what you've committed to. And yet, we don't hear anything. We don't know anything.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people now in 2025 who are thinking, well, everything's gone streaming. While my TV in my living room may not be the size of one of a movie theater, it's pretty darn big. And some people are thinking, well, will we ever see another movie theater in Stafford County? Has the technology just advanced so much? Is that just a thing of the past? If you're a betting man, do you think we'll see one there?
If I'm a betting man, here's what I would tell you. A movie theater, a standalone movie theater, I think has no future. But I do think a movie theater like they do at Potomac Mills, where you have an AMC and you have it surrounded by all these other things. Down at, I don't know what the name of it, it keeps changing.
I think it's called Hookie. If you're talking about the one in Spotsylvania Town Center, I think it's called Hookie now. It was Splitsville. Now it's called, but it does keep changing.
It keeps changing. So that one does well, right? Because it's right next to a big mall, right? So I think a standalone by itself may not, but I think in the situation in which it was proposed, where it would be a movie theater, it would be retail, it would be apartments, it would be another store, it would be restaurants. That kind of a situation, I think a smaller movie complex would be very well received, and I think it would do well by itself. I'm not concerned. I'm not sure it would, but I think in the way in which it was proposed, I think it would.
Last thing I want to talk about here, the Board of County Supervisors this week adopted its schedule for the budget. Yes, it's just September, and we're already talking about the budget deliberations, which really get underway in January. But hey, we're gearing up. And for those who pay attention, it's one of the things that we focus most on each year when it comes to how the county spends taxpayer money.
Yes.
And we have seen some major investments on the part of this board to put in money for schools and roads and what have you, especially since the Republicans lost control and Democrats. And we'll put Monica Gary in there. She's the independent, but she frequently votes with the Democrats. So the Democrats have the majority on the board, and so we have seen investments as of late. But it is also fair to say, and we've done some reporting on this, that even under Republicans, the tax rate in Stafford County has continued to go up since 2012. We have some information on that. If you've not read that story, go to PotomacLocal.com and check that out. So if you're elected to the board, what's the balance here? Stafford County is a growing county. It has needs. More people continue to move here. There's always calls to improve the schools and hire and retain more teachers. But the balance is, hey, listen, if I wanted to, pay Fairfax County taxes, I would have moved to Fairfax County. I moved to Stafford because it was a little more affordable, or it was what I could afford at the time. And so there's a balance here. How will you balance that if you're elected?
That's a good question. It is the key to a lot of people. It is their single voter question. And the way I answer that is, we have, in my opinion, not fostered a good business environment over the last 12 years. That while taxes have gone up, and for the most part, those taxes have gone up because not for the most part, as part of my house values have gone up. And as my house values go up, I will be paying more taxes, even if the tax rate is flat. In fact, we have lowered the tax rate in many cases, but our taxes have gone up because of my house values gone up. Now, that being said, it's still an increase, and I agree. But what we have not done over the last 12 years is fostered enough of a business environment in Stafford that our commercial real estate and our commercial tax revenue matches the growth of our county. So as the growth of our county has gone up, our tax revenue from our commercial base has not. It has stayed flat. And so now most of the growth income requirement comes on the back of our residents. We have to do a better job of bringing businesses and developing a more business-friendly environment in Stafford. I've talked to some property owners, and they have gotten some significant pushback from our current supervisors about bringing businesses to Stafford, specifically in the Garrisonville district, because it's not what the supervisor wants, right? Well, hold on. Just because it's not what you want per se doesn't mean that it's not a viable business. So let's refer back to the Lidl in 2021, I think, that was turned down at the behest of our current Garrisonville supervisor, because she said that there was going to bring too much traffic to the Garrisonville Walmart area. Really?
Yeah, this Lidl was a grocery store that was going to
there recently.
And it was going to be sort of wedged in between the Walmart and a Pancho Villa Mexican restaurant, which on a what it still is a vacant piece of land. And you're right, that is a very high traffic area, and I think that is one of the busiest intersections in all of Stafford County. Maybe it and down there at Route 17 at I-95. I think those are the two busiest intersections in all of Stafford County. And they, to a lot of people's surprise, they passed on that economic development deal.
They did. They passed on it, and we would have been able to revitalize that whole area. I believe that Lidl coming to that area would have absolutely moved down a little farther south on Mine Road, that other vacant lot that's been vacant since I've been here in 20 years, that would have been developed. I think it would have brought development and renovation to that whole area right through there. But no, we said no to it, led by our supervisor, because it's not in the right spot, because that's not what she wanted. Because, hold on, it would have been good for our constituents, it would have been good for Stafford, and it would have brought revenue into the coffers. It's those types of things that we have to do better at in bringing business, a higher business space into Stafford County.
Well, early voting starts on Friday, September 19th, 2025. For us right here, right now, that is tomorrow, but who knows when you might be listening to this. So early voting for the November 2025 election starts Friday, September 19th. Bart, as we wrap up here, give people an idea of your background, why you're running, and how people can learn more about your candidacy.
Sure. Thank you very much. I'm a 19-year veteran, 19-year resident of Stafford County, 25-year Navy veteran. We moved here. My last tour brought me here. I am been married for 39 years. My wife is a saint because of that. I have two children. My son is a police officer in Prince William. We have had a marvelous life together. I truly enjoy that. Reason I'm running is because I think Stafford is at a crossroads. I think Stafford needs to do a better job of bringing businesses, and we have to decide now that we want to make Stafford a better place to live for our families. We want to make our schools a success. That through our school success, we can bring big businesses, headquarters of businesses to Stafford, not out in the world where we're going to sprawl and ruin the Stafford historical environment. But I think inside the urban services area, there's tons of places where we can renovate, revitalize Stafford, and bring businesses and increase that tax base, which is what we desperately need and what all counties have. They all go through the process. I tell people that building a county is not rocket science. Everybody goes through it. Everybody has to go through this process of how we attract businesses,
If you want more information about Bart Randall and his candidacy, you can go to his website, bartrandall.com. As we mentioned, early voting is underway in Stafford County. You can go to the 124 Old Potomac Church Road, Suite 205 in Stafford. It's the former Germanna Community College building where the campus used to be located. It's right there off Route 1, south of the Government Center, south of Stafford Hospital. You can cast early votes there. And of course, Election Day is November 4th, 2025. Thanks for listening to the Potomac Local News Podcast. If you found this valuable, please like, share, and subscribe, especially if you're listening on YouTube. Leave a comment and tell a friend, where you can find more local news all the time at potomaclocal.com.